Chair would like to recognize first Senator Judge Lacson. What is the pleasure of the Honorable Lacson?
It's a point of inquiry, Mr.
You may proceed, sir.
Yes, Mr. Senate President, Mr. Presiding Officer, Your Honors. Just so it will be clear to our fellow senator judges, as well as the panel of prosecutors, the defense team, and the public in general, yesterday after your election as presiding officer, you delivered your opening statement, portions of which I will either quote or paraphrase as follows. You stated, the Constitution states that conviction can only happen with the concurrence of 2/3 of all members of the Senate. And then you continued, with 24 members of the Senate, a literal interpretation of this means that conviction requires the affirmative vote of at least 16 senator judges. However, you also made it clear that, and I quote, those who disagree have the right to go about it through a legal challenge and sue the Supreme Court by virtue of its power of judicial review, render a different ruling on this question. The impeachment court shall faithfully abide by that ruling, unquote. My point of inquiry, Mr. President, Mr. Presiding Officer, is this portion of your opening statement a matter of legal opinion on your part as presiding officer, or does it constitute a ruling by the impeachment court? If the response is, it is the latter, does this mean that this court, through the presiding officer, has raised the level of discourse to a justiciable issue or a dispute that the Supreme Court may have legal authority to settle and resolve? In case either one or both panels in front of us decide to exercise their right to challenge the said ruling, should they deem it as a grave abuse of discretion by this court? I submit, Your Honor.
The response of the presiding officer is in the affirmative. In fact, the journal that we just approved contains a similar inquiry by Senator Judge Cayetano yesterday when he inquired if it was the position and ruling of the presiding officer, and the presiding officer answered in the affirmative. So to clarify, yes, I believe it may be considered already as a justiciable controversy, although it is not for us to dictate that but the courts, given that it is a ruling of the chair not objected to nor appealed by any member of this court, and therefore stands.
Thank you for the clarification, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Thank you, Senator Judge Lacson. Senator Judge Cayetano, what is your pleasure, sir?
Sir President, Presiding Officer, may I just further clarify this statement?
You may proceed, sir.
Yes. I confirm that yesterday we heard the same thing, and when the transcripts come out, of course, then it will be available to everyone. Basically, yesterday I clarified whether that was the opinion of the elected presiding officer, and of course, without any offense to my brother and friend, Senator Escudero, we have a continuing objection. I asked him whether this was already a ruling of the court, because if it's the ruling of the court, then as a threshold issue, we will have no further questions. Section 22, Article 22 of our rule says that all orders, decisions may be acted upon without objection, or if objection is heard, the orders and decisions shall be voted on without debate by ayes and nays, which shall be entered in the record. Subject, however, to operation of Rule 6, and Rule 6 speaks of whether the presiding officer will rule on relevance, admissibility, and giving any movant 2 minutes. So I may also correct that yesterday I was not allowed to, when I objected to Senator Lacson, I should have been given 10 minutes in accordance with Section 22. But I do admit that before that, in the point of order, Senate President Gatchalian was liberal in allowing us to explain. Anyway, everything has been explained yesterday as the constitutional issue of the presiding officer, and since you allowed us to submit in writing, we will do so. But just on this point of the threshold issue of 2/3 of all members, there is actually a pending case in the Supreme Court entitled Cayetano versus Aquino. That is myself and my seatmate, Senator Aquino. We talked, but we're not talking about the case.
So actually, you're correct, Senator Lacson, that anyone can go on this issue itself. And I just like to make sure today and further clarify that there's no objections that as of today, the stand of the impeachment court is that of all members means that as long as you're still a member, so meaning when are you not a member anymore? When you die, when you are removed by finality, and when you resign. No? Otherwise, you are still a member, so you are still counted. And it is in that spirit that we ask and we're preparing maybe a memoranda for all members to allow Senator Marcoleta and Senator Jinggoy, since they are going to have a vote. And if they are not allowed to vote, then that will be counted as a vote for acquittal. And that might be favorable to the defense rather than a part of giving a fair trial. So all I wanted to clarify today, Mr. President, is that we will continue to thresh out if there are any constitutional issues. But as of today, it is very clear that as a court, we have decided that 2/3 of 24, there are 24 members of the Senate today, 20 are present here today, but there are still 24 members, and 16 ang number of senators needed to convict on any of the articles, Mr. President. Mr. Presiding Officer, thank you.
What is the pleasure of Senator Judge Pangilinan?
21 na pala.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer, Mr. Senate President. Just to place on record that I would like to clarify that the ruling of the chair of 16 is as to the issue of whether the threshold number of conviction. The matter of whether or not Senators Marcoleta and Senator Estrada should be participating in the process of the trial is another matter that we will have to discuss perhaps in camera or on the floor at a later date, Mr. President.
Noted. If there are no other Senator Judge who wishes to make a manifestation, the lead prosecutor, Representative Luistro, is once again recognized. What was your earlier manifestation and motion, ma'am?
Your Honor, we respectfully reiterate our request that counsel for the panel of prosecutors, Attorney Lorna Kapunan, be recognized.
Counsel for the panel of prosecutors, Attorney Lorna Kapunan, is recognized. Will you be the one to present your first witness, ma'am?